Wait, no. Okay, let's sort this out because clearly it's not sorted. But uh, trying to get everything done on the fly is not going my way. Okay, that should have been showing. I guess it's this one. Yeah, there we go. How's it going, everyone? I was about to make a video, but I decided to go live because why not? It is insanely chaotic going on right now. I can't believe the news, honestly. It is for real. As you can see here, Jim Ryan thanks the PlayStation community as he announces his plans to retire from Sony Interactive Entertainment in March 2024. You know what? I'm going to just be right back. I really need a fan in here because it is baking. Just give me a sec. Perfect way to start a stream, right? All right, we are back. We are back. All right, it's been a crazy couple week. Well, it's been a crazy week for me. Been really unwell, hence why there's been really no streams. Um, and trying to pump out 2-3 videos a day while having a full time job has been pretty taxing, honestly. But yes, the news that you're seeing is actually real. And if my fan is too loud, do let me know. But yeah, I can't believe it. This, I mean, I guess they say he's retired, but is that like a polite way of them saying you couldn't stop the Activision Blizzard merger? So here's your payoff. So as we see here from Sony Computer Entertainment, as you will have seen today in the news, I have announced my retirement after nearly 30 years at Sony Interactive Entertainment. I did not take this decision lightly, and I guess after losing the ABK battle, it was inevitable, and I absolutely love SIE and our community. But of late, I've been finding it increasingly difficult to strike the right balance between having my home in the UK and my job in the United States. As mentioned in the press release, I will continue my role as President and CEO until March 2024, effective April 2024. April the 1st? April the 1st? Chat, this isn't no April Fool's joke, is it? This isn't no April Fool's joke, is it? Beast Bomb? He steps down in... I know, but this is April the 1st. Hiroki Totoki will be appointed interim of SIE while he continues his current role at Sony Corporation. I feel humbled at having opportunity to lead a company delivering products that touch millions of lives, from award-winning games to the incredibly immersive and technical achievements delivered with PlayStation 5. I'm immensely proud of what we have achieved and very optimistic for the future of Sony Interactive Entertainment. Now, this is a really big change, right? This is a really big mental change from I don't want to give Microsoft any access to PlayStation 6 tech. I don't want them knowing any of this. I mean, he, at that point, when he was making these statements during the trial, the FTC trial, there was no decision to retire. The way he was defending it, the way he was putting his arguments forward, there was no intention to retire. This came up after the ABK merger, 100%. Whether he was forced out is another matter. I think there might be an element to that. I think Jim Ryan had a difficult hill to climb to answer to shareholders in regards to ABK and how to make the money back. Yeah, Scarlett, I think there might be some truth to that. The ABK deal going through is a nuclear bomb to his career. He got Oppenheimer. Oh man, but this is crazy. From the beginning in Europe, it was clear that Sony had built something truly special. Generations later, I'm still a bit. Remember, right? They believe in generations and then went straight to backwards compatibility. Amazed by the excitement of passion of the PlayStation community, it is thanks to you that we have been able to keep innovating and delivering even greater experiences since 1994. Generations of gamers have inspired us to be better and push the boundaries, and results have been incredible. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. But yeah, this is officially on Sony's website. It is he's gone. But if this is an April Fool's in any way, shape, or form, that is gonna be like the biggest joke ever, right? Because that's just that would just be crazy. And here's another from the actual. This is an official press release from the archives. A comment from Kenshiro Yoshida. Jim Ryan has been an inspirational leader throughout his entire period with us, but never more so in overseeing the launch of the PlayStation 5 in the midst of a global pandemic. All I can do is laugh. Jim Ryan is going to be a consultant. Can you imagine if he actually moved to Xbox? Goku, that is what I believe. I actually believe that is why he left. It's crazy, but that is why he left. I mean, I keep saying this on Twitter, and I'm going to say it again. This is the Starfield effect, baby. Yeah, I'm immensely grateful to Jim for all his achievements. Respecting Jim's decision to finish his long career at Sony leaves me with an important decision regarding his succession given the significance of game and network service business. We have discussed intensively and have determined the new management structure. We aim to achieve Sony Group's further evolution and growth through bringing even greater success to the game and network services. That was the message from Jim Ryan. After 30 years, I have made the decision to retire from SIE. I've relished the opportunity to have the job, but I'm very special company working with great people and incredible partners, but I found it increasingly difficult to reconcile basically being away from his family, and it's basically the same as he said this. He trusts that they will find a group. But that's it. He is he's gone as of next year. Rare Sony win. Let's have a look on Twitter and see what's going on. Right? Let's have a quick look. Shout out to Nintendo. Oh, this is a Cyberpunk stuff. Oh damn, that looks actually really nice. That's Final Fantasy 14. Kenna. Here we go. Massive video game industry news breaking from Jason Schreier, who's actually blocked me, by the way, because I questioned his ethics and he didn't like it very much. Sources telling Bloomberg PlayStation boss Jim Ryan is stepping down from his PlayStation leadership position. I expected some shakeup at Sony after their attempt to stop the ABK acquisition failed, but this was not on my bingo card. There is no spinning this. I mean, like I said, right? The base teacher, during the FTC trial, which I followed very, very closely, he actually was adamant that one of the big things for him was that with the development of the PS6 in the works, he did not want to unveil that tech to Microsoft. He did not want that. He felt that it would go against his vision. So he didn't actually, at that point, during the FTC trial, see himself leaving Sony for until at least 2030, right? When the PS6 would have launched. So on the eve of the CMA announcing this answer, the FTC, if you haven't seen that video, go check it out, trying to appeal but is going to fail, and everyone knows it's going to fail. It's clearly the ABK deal. The ABK deal has pushed him over. I don't know. I mean, let's just look at it, right? First, they lost the ABK deal. Then they get hacked. Then they take all the collectibles away from their paying customers while taking their money, and now Jim Ryan steps down. It's been a really bad week for them. Like, it's been a really bad week. Oh man, I mean, you gotta feel sorry for them. You do. You've got to feel sorry for them. That's yikes. That's that's really yikes. Oh man. Uh, if this is real, I'm split. Business side, he did a lot of moves to keep PlayStation where it is today. From a fan perspective, wish more care was put into the history of PlayStation and their IPs. Felt like the usual IPs were being pushed while many others fell to the side. He's actually quite. I mean, I know McQuack. He's actually quite balanced. He's a PS fanboy, right? True PS fanboy. He does have an Xbox and stuff. Thank you for that super chat there, Taz at 199. Keep up the good work, Chaos. Thank you very much. Uh, but he's always said that he wished Jim Ryan would push more of the older IPs, like the uh, is it Siphon Filter? I think it was, and you had like the SOCOM series, you had the Resistance series. I mean, when you think about it, Sony has such a wealth in back catalog that they just refuse to go into, and they could have gone into that, but they didn't. Instead, they decided to go for factions, which, if they leave it to Bungie, is never coming out. If you look at the way they're handling Destiny, you know what I mean? Um, I mean, they've asked Bungie. He asked, I mean, maybe that's the reason, right? They bought Bungie for 3.6 billion, sorry, to help them with their, you know, live service stuff. But Bungie can't even handle Destiny 2 at the moment. They've sunk it to the ground. I mean, how on earth are they in a position to give advice when they're sinking their own game? Chaos, I thought this year could not get any worse for Sony, but I was wrong. Jim is resigning over losing the ABK deal. This was a win for Xbox and Phil after the Xbox One failure. I mean, you know what they say, right? He who has the final laugh wins. I mean, seriously. I was actually finishing a video before as this actually came up, which I'm was planning to release tomorrow at 12. I'm probably going to release this stream first and then release that video probably about 4 or 5 p.m. But maybe a little earlier, because that one actually covers a lot of news in the game industry that I wanted to that was going on. But like, Bungie is in a position right now where they have completely sunk Destiny 2. Content creators have jumped ship. True Vanguard, Fallout Plays. These are big, big streamers for Destiny. Massive streamers. And they've all jumped ship because they just can't be bothered with the crap that Bungie keeps putting out. And Bungie is supposed to be advising them how to, keep engagement going when they can't keep their own streamers on board. Who are they to advertise and tell other companies how to keep engagement going when they can't do it themselves? I think a mixture of that and with seeing how Bungie is, astronomically failing in terms of keeping engagement, and seeing the ABK deal fall through might have just been the thing that pushed them over the edge. Forspoken, dry year. I still disagree with Forspoken. I think Forspoken is a good game. I think the demo was god awful. I mean, I remember when they gave it to me they sent me an email, Sony, before I think they blacklisted me now. I mean, I'm not surprised, but they actually sent me an email asking for my personal opinion on the demo, and I absolutely destroyed them on the demo because I thought the demo was dog shit. And then when I played the official game, because I really wanted to play it, and I actually played it, I bought it, I played it, I actually wrote back to them, and I asked them, why did you release that demo? That demo killed your game. Because the game is actually good, right? The game is actually good. But the demo was so bad that anyone that played the demo is running 100 miles away. And I gave them like brutally honest feedback, but they never responded back to me. Jim Ryan probably convinced Sony he could get the deal blocked. The original deal was all of ABK. Now that it just got caught. Yeah, there was nothing Jim could have done with that deal. The best thing about this is the video's coming soon. I can't wait for MBG and Dreamcast guys' reaction. Well, what you want to know is that Jim Ryan is just a man, and he's well, he's not going to he's not only PlayStation. There's other people behind there that can do it. This is nothing for PlayStation. Am I doing a good job? Am I doing a good job, chat? I should stop taking the piss. But when it comes to when it comes to MBG, he's gonna be like, "Do you remember all those Xbox fans that said it wouldn't happen? Can you hear them now? Can you listen? Can you hear them? Can you hear all the crying?" In fact, they're all just laughing at him right now. Hey, Team November. Chili, the coincidence is way too, it's too striking. With Destiny not doing very well and falling apart, and the ABK deal going through, and his announcement coming out a little while later, it's clear the ABK deal had a big influence on this. Considering in the FTC trial, he had a foresight of where he wanted to be by 2030. He was looking at this in a future. He was looking at the future. For this to drastically change in such a short span of time, it's I think he was pushed out. I think losing ABK was a big blow, and they blamed him for it. And I don't think he wanted to fight in the end. I think there is some truth to the fact that he missed his family because, you know, working in the US and his family being in the UK, that's going to put a strain on you because that long distance relationship is not good for the family. So I think with the fact that they started to pile pressure on him, I think he just said, you know what, this ain't worth it. I've got my money. I don't need to work for the rest of my life. I'm done. I'm gone. So I think it was a bit of both. I don't know. I think if they're done right, I think PlayStation games day one could work on PC. I think they could. Of course, this would mean that the PC would instantly become the ultimate platform because it can play everything. And honestly, if you can build a 3-4 thousand bucks PC, you don't need anything. But at the same time, it's a 3-4 thousand bucks PC. I mean, that's where you draw the line, right? You're not going to get a £1,500 PC to keep up with the graphical fidelity of an Xbox Series X or a PS5. You're going to need to spend above the odds. So you could technically go and buy a next generation PlayStation and a next generation Xbox and still spend less than you would for a PC. I mean, the 4090 on its own is 2,000, right? Or is it 1,700? Then you've got the power supply, a good case, water cooling, motherboard. Cat, don't think about it. 32 to 64 gigs of RAM. Uh, you know, and it quickly adds up. Justin, no, it doesn't. The 2080 is still about what, 300-400 pounds on its own, and that's without a motherboard and RAM. So I think, like, even if they did do that, I don't think the PlayStation market would be affected. I'm not saying that people should do that. I'm just saying that to get a top of the line PC right now that will obliterate all consoles and be able to, withstand, say, maybe 3-4 years before you need to upgrade again. Because I don't think you need to upgrade yearly for your graphics card, right? So 3-4 years is about, I think, about right before you need to update your graphics card, because that's going to be the main component, and maybe the CPU until the motherboard socket, the motherboard socket changes, and then you need to upgrade that as well. So at that point, once you've built it and you've done the upfront cost, then it goes down to just whatever the graphics card costs. I mean, my PC's plugged into my TV. I sit on my couch and game on my PC with a controller. What are you even on about? PCs can plug into a TV. Just saying. Technology has advanced enough for you to be able to plug uh, you know, your PC into a TV. It is a thing. People do it. They don't just all sit around in their dark corners with a monitor. I mean, how many people here just sit in front of a monitor to play their PC? That's a genuine question. I'm actually kind of interested. No one plugs it in. No one plugs it into their TV at all. I mean, I've got my monitor here, which I like, but I've also got like my 43 inch TV over there, which I plug my PC. I've kind of like got a dual connection, plugging them in. So if I want to play games on there on the bigger screen, I can do that. Yeah, see, so I'm not the only one that's crazy. A laptop onto the TV. See, loads of people do it. It's not a new concept. I found easier on the monitor. Hmm, easier. Odd. Never heard that before. Oh, there you go. Big picture mode on your TV. Okay, there you go. Look, Cat, you're gonna turn my PC off. Yeah. GeForce Now on my TV. I do that as well. I've actually got GeForce Now on my Android um, Google Chromecast with TV. I've sideloaded it on there, and off I go. But I'm actually really surprised that this is happening. I mean, it's no surprise. Forbidden West Complete Edition. I'm guessing they're all going to run out and buy that. Oh god, PlayStation fans are now asking for Baldur's Gate 3 to have a real combat mode for Baldur's Gate 3. They don't like the current system with a turn based. I guess all that high praise for Sony's for Baldur's Gate has gone out the window. I guess it was all fake air. It's a good game, and anyone that's played it will tell you it's a really good game if they like turn based. I think Chili, you like Baldur's Gate 3, right? We called it a while back. They would not like the combat. Yeah, we did. HD Gaming Nate, we did. Um, but those that have actually played Baldur's Gate 3 that are okay with the turn based battle, for me, it's a little. The whole point and click I don't like. I haven't tried it with a controller, so I guess that would be something for me to try. But I've heard from a number of people that with a controller, the whole menu system is just too cumbersome as well. It's not really well executed. But on a keyboard and mouse, it works perfectly fine because you've just got all the stuff laid out for you. It's much easier for you to deal with. Just not in combat, right? You've got that wheel in combat which you have to deal with. I have multiple screens plugged in, but my main display is my HD TV. The only monitor I have plugged in is an older Samsung 19 1080p. It's used only for displaying the videos of projects I work on. Fair enough. Good stuff. Now, I just wanted to ask because he came out like as if no one uses their dude. Get out of here! Go move. He came out like no one uses their TV for gaming. I think Sony should have added keyboard and mouse support. I know Microsoft is adding keyboard and mouse support soon, or at least they've been talking about it for quite some time. And on those leaked documents from 2020, they have shown that they have every intention to add keyboard and mouse support. And I think that would actually be a really good move for Xbox. But hate him or like him, steered PlayStation through the pandemic and kept it steady, even with delays, video game leaks, $1 billion acquisitions. I mean, Bungie hasn't helped him at all at the moment. All they've done is told them that factions suck, and fight to keep consoles really stocked. I think majority feel the same way about Jim Ryan and his disconnect with gamers, though. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing with Phil. No matter what you say about Phil, Phil is a businessman in the end, right? He acts like your friend. He wants your support. None of them are really your friend. They obviously want to keep you happy. The difference between Jim and Phil, though, is that Phil does the politics really well. He interacts with people. He will go to people's Twitter profiles. He will like their tweets. And for the average Joe, that's an amazing feeling when the CEO of Xbox likes your tweet. It gives you that buzz. Or when he sees you in the streets, he'll be like, "Hey, I'll take a selfie with you. I'll sign something for you." It's fine. He's got no problem whatsoever. Jim is completely isolated. He didn't create that person to person persona. It's like a footballer that used to play for Manchester United. If anyone here follows any English football, his name was Dwight York. Was it Dwight York? I think it was. It was either Dwight York or Andy Cole, one of the two. And a fan of Manchester United went to a cafe and saw him there, and just said, "Can I have an autograph?" As you would, because he's famous. And he turned around and told the kid to F off. He said, "Can't you see I'm sitting down having a cup of coffee?" Literally told him to F off. Like, broke the 12-year-old's heart, and the kid went off crying because one of his idols told him to F off. Now, I'm not saying Jim Ryan is at that level, but he just didn't interact with the community. He kind of kept that real distance between him and everyone else. Hey, have a good one, Gookun Wild. Phil is genuine and is for gamers, but also running a business. Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, he'll have that discussion with you. He will talk to you. He will, you know, he will be that person that you can sit down and have a drink with, and have a good discussion with. I just don't feel like Jim ever created that persona for himself, and I think that hurt his image. That hurt his brand a little bit. The thing I find interesting about the is the FTC because they was trying to help Sony to get the ABK deal blocked, but no, the FTC surely has to back out for their final trial. No. I think Lena Khan has finally decided that she's going to go full Monty with this and actually go balls deep in terms of, you know, I've only got a little bit of taxpayers' money left. I want to make sure that I burn all of that before I lose my job. I really think Lena Khan is going that way. I mean, Lena Khan must see the writing on the wall at this point. The amount of money that she's wasted, and Congress has turned around to Lena and said, "Look, you lost once, you lost twice, you lost three times, and you're still going at it. We're not going to give you the funding you want. In fact, we're going to lower the funding that you've requested and give you a lot less to stop you doing stupid things." And instead of like learning from what they're telling her, she has decided, right, they've given me less funding. I've got less money. How quickly can I burn this money? Right, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to create my own court where I can finally win, then take it to the appeals court and lose again because Johnny ho, that is the way to do it. Oh, Reforge is going to have a meltdown. As you're all aware, or you will be aware when you watch my video that I'm going to release tomorrow. But he actually accused Jez Corden of pushing MBG to end his life. He accused him of that. Unbelievable. Just because Jez Corden said in a tweet that didn't MBG build his channel by hating Xbox. That's crazy, right? How can you do that? How can you say such a thing? Phil is a gaming tool. Are you saying that as a good thing or a bad thing? Because I mean, Phil Spencer saved Xbox. Hey, Josh, I appreciate that, dude. No worries at all. No worries at all. There was a bit of a drought period when nothing was happening, so I know people were asking me to just talk about it, but making a video to talk about something for the sake of talking about something, No, MBG didn't do anything like that. Of course not. But Reforge was turning around and trying to throw shade because people were mocking MBG for it. And he didn't like it because it was hurting his brand. Well, the brand that he follows. I know he was. Does this mean that the actual real PlayStation Showcase will be shown now? With all secret games they were hiding from Jimbo? He didn't resign, he was sacked. You know that, don't you? Of course, yeah, I've already said that. He was pushed out. Lena Khan is a waste of my tax dollars. Lena Khan is a waste of your tax dollars. I am I am. I don't know how you guys can stomach her. Honestly, she is literally. And what's worse is she's British too. I think. Us Brits taking your tax dollars, no matter which way we can do it. MBG used to love Xbox, but turned into a pony to grow his channel. Yeah, I know. He did. He did. He did. I mean, the next show that they do has to be really, really powerful. But I mean, we've got this over here, right? So we all know that Callisto Protocol was deliberately um, degraded for Xbox. I mean, there's no defending that. Callisto Protocol, when it came out simultaneously with the PS5, was degraded with the Xbox for the Xbox Series X. Textures were missing, reflections were missing, and as someone who works in QA and has worked in QA since, I would say, roughly about 15 to 17 years now. And I've worked in the games industry for about 3 to 5 years of that. Well, on top of that, because I actually started my QA career at Sega in 2006, I think it was, and so I actually pride myself as a really good QA, right? But to be missing stuff like that and to say that their QA team missed it is a whole bunch of BS. But I do wish Jim Ryan the best in retirement. I mean, he's worked for 30 years, he's made his money, he doesn't have to work for the rest of his life. I wish him the best. I do. I wish him the best. But as someone that's worked in QA, when I see a developer come out and tell me that our QA missed it, I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that for a second because if you've got a bunch of QA in there and not one of them is gonna test it and see it that there's no reflection, or there's no textures, or the textures are missing. If that was at any of the companies I worked for, on a big release like this, their jobs would pretty much be on the line. But it was all planned. They released a degraded version, and look at it. The company did so. They had to let go of over half the staff. The studio for Callisto Protocol almost went under. I mean, they're a shell of what they were now because the game didn't do well. And all that support that they gave to Sony, clearly they didn't buy the game. There was no interest. They made a mistake. And I know a lot of Xbox fans actually didn't buy this game deliberately because of the way they were treated. The head guy left too, yeah. This was his first game and he left. But you know, when you do something like that, when you go and deliberately degrade a game for a platform, I mean, as Digital Foundry also said, which you'll see in my new video that comes out tomorrow, the Xbox Series X is actually being held back by the PS5. Did any of you notice? Did any of you see that from Digital Foundry? That the Series X is actually not performing anywhere near 100%, is not utilizing any of their tools because the PS5 has a parity clause, and that parity clause has to be met, so the Series X can't outperform the PS5. Did any of you see that news? That's crazy, right? I mean, I'm covering that in my video that I've got releasing tomorrow, but that is mental. And I'm guessing now with the PS5 Pro coming, finally the Series X will be able to show what it's capable of. Because up until now, it's been hindered. Up until now, it's been held back. And for all those saying, well, what about Starfield and the way it looks? If you look at the generic NPCs, sure, they look awful. They do. There's no defending that. But if you look at the actual characters that do matter, the NPCs that you interact with properly, they look alright. They look great. You know, Sarah, Cole, they all look good. The ships look great. Everything the important parts of Starfield look amazing. The parts that they clearly didn't care about were kept low textured to improve the frame rates. Xbox first party, yeah. With the first party, there's no reason why they can't. I just think Starfield had to be the way it is because of just the sheer scope of that game. And don't forget, something else I found out. I think it was today or yesterday. So you know when you walk into a building on Starfield, and it kind of does that loading into it. It kind of goes to a black screen for like a second or two, and then loads in. At least on PC, it's a second or two. It might be longer on Xbox. But the reason why that's happening is because what's actually loading is bigger than what you see on the outside. So let's just say, for example, on the outside, you're looking at a 4x4 building, right? When you go in, it's like a 12x12 building. Therefore, it's actually loading a completely different asset. And that's why that actual loading is happening, because it's actually loading a different instance. You're not actually walking into that building. If that makes sense. Why they went with that decision, I don't know. But that's just a design choice that they went with. And it is purely a design choice. It's not that this console can't handle it. This was big news as well. Candy Crush Saga surpassed 20 billion in revenue. That's crazy, man. 20 billion. I hope Jim Ryan has a happy retirement by... I don't know, that feels a little cold, Peter. That feels a little cold. Yeah, Candy Crush. That rubbish, that I call it rubbish because it is rubbish, right? I mean, I don't like it at all. But, clearly, we're not the audience. And there are so many other people out there who cherish that game. And they're adding 15,000 more levels to it for the most dedicated out there to push themselves further. It's crazy. And the thing about this is now with Apple actually going in to gaming with the iPhone 15 Pro, Candy Crush, by them buying Activision Blizzard King, that gives them a direct gateway into the mobile market. And as we know, mobile is pretty much one of the biggest industries out there in terms of mobile gaming, microtransactions, gacha, whatever. We always like talk about how we don't like it, but it is literally a cash cow. Sony are still top dog in terms of gaming landscape, but the anti-consumer moves not going to attract the new gamers. Yeah. I mean, they are still number one right now. But with Jim Ryan stepping down, they need a big shakeup. Honestly, Sony need to bring back some of those core games that made the PlayStation good in the first place. And they just haven't done that. They've just relied on the template that they have, that they've used for The Last of Us, God of War, Days Gone. It's all the same template. And, Bungie do the same thing, which is why I think they work so well together. Bungie have decided to go with that template where they just release the same content year on year for Destiny. And it got really stale real quick. Now, I know a lot of people don't like the kind of story-driven games of PlayStation. I actually like them personally myself. But I like story-based games. So it's a difference. But like people say, they are kind of like a one-and-done game. Once you've beaten them, you're really not going to go back to them. And people who want to get more for their money just aren't going to find it there. Chaos, it's going to be interesting to see who is going to take Sony over. Why Jim goes, I hate Sony, but I hope Jim has a good retirement. I hope he has a good retirement too. I think he was let go. I think he was pushed out after the ABK deal. I think buying Bungie didn't give them the return that they wanted. It wasn't providing them the support that they needed for their live service games. They've clearly seen that the desire, the fans of Destiny have shrunk. People just aren't playing it. I mean, I used to play it weekly, and one of the things that I actually wanted to do week on week is sign in for 30 minutes and do the story. I can't even be bothered to do that. I've missed it for the past 2 weeks because the thought of having to do that seasonal activity, I'd rather grate my balls with a cheese grater. It is that boring and horrible. It's just bad. I just don't like it, and I can't be bothered to play it. And so with I think the fact that they couldn't get any exclusivity with Bungie, the contract that they signed with Bungie meant that, I always believed, right? My personal view is that if I'm going to give you so much money to buy your company and invest in you, sure, on paper, you've got all the legal rights, but I'm still your boss, right? If I tell you to jump, you're going to ask me how high. You're not going to tell me, no, you can do what you want. And that was my view all along. I've always stood by this. And to this day, I will stand by it because that was genuinely my thought when they actually bought Bungie. But it turns out it actually wasn't. Bungie, under legal terms, kept full autonomy. And all of their games are cross-platform. So what did Sony buy? The knowledge of how to create live service games from a company that is failing in live service? I mean, they'd had a good streak with Destiny. But the reason why Destiny was such a good streak is because, it was the first of its kind. It was the first of its kind. So it drew everyone in. I was a massive fan of Destiny 1. I love Destiny 1. But I think between that and not being able to block the ABK, that was it. I think that was the final straw. And it coming out so soon after, it's not a coincidence. Let's just. I know people are going to say it's a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. You don't unveil one of the biggest gaming newses ever, for now at least, with a $69 billion deal going through, getting preliminary approval from the CMA, and then the actual CMC hearing, which was scheduled for the 23rd, 5 days after, by the Honourable Judge Marcus Smith, which was scheduled for the 23rd of September, also being adjourned because there's no need for it, clearly indicates that this deal is going through. As well as that, the whole Ubisoft thing that the CMA has agreed does create an RMS, a relevant merger. Basically, because a couple of parties actually argued that it doesn't create a relevant merger, but the CMA argued that it does because it removes control from Microsoft and gives it to Ubisoft. And Ubisoft is not going to favor the small companies that are coming against to help them create competition. They're going to sell it to the biggest person. Theoretically, right? This is theoretically speaking. Once this is all set up with Ubisoft, Microsoft could go to Ubisoft and say, "Look, you gave me $200 million to take this contract off me." Right? I'm just making a hypothetical number up. I'll give you $250 million if you give it exclusively to me on this and this game. Microsoft is technically within their rights to do that. They will pay more, obviously. They will have lost $50 million, right? But they could then take those games and within the legal contract, put them onto xCloud exclusively. They can do that. They can do that. Chaos, of course, it's not the deal. Could happen any day before the 18th of October. That's why Jim pretty much knew. Yeah. The deal is happening. And I think with the CMA coming out and saying what they did, that was the end of it, really. I think he really had nothing else to fight for. So does this mean Xbox can have Sony exclusive? No. Sony will live and die by their exclusives. But and to be fair, they've got this far because of their exclusives. Their contracts, their exclusivity deals. It's how they've maintained to stay in number one. It's how they've maintained that contract. If Microsoft, created those contracts with Square Enix and with other companies and actually made a push for Japan properly, I think they'd be in a much different position now. But they've kind of neglected Japan a lot. And we saw a real push this year for Japan, and that was good. But they need to do a lot more to make a footprint in Japan. I think right now is just the baby steps. It's just the beginning. But we'll see how that goes. For the longest times, I actually thought that Sega consoles, Sega was going to actually partner with Xbox. And, early on, when the original Xbox was coming out, there was actually talks of this, and the rumors were really, really rife. And you actually had Shenmue 2, on the Xbox in the US only. It was released in the US only, and it was, I think, like a test to see how the two would get along. It didn't do very well with Shenmue 2, and I think that kind of split the group a little. But that was a time when Sega almost became part of Microsoft. Because Sega had just dropped out of the console market with the Dreamcast, which was a great console, by the way. Love my Dreamcast. But yeah, that was a real possibility, and it's a shame it didn't happen. But I think with the current relationship that they have now, Sega being an acquisition is highly possible. It's highly possible. Does it need it? I don't think so, honestly. Because we're getting a lot of the games on Game Pass anyway. But it's a real possibility. Chaos, I'm getting my head down. Got to get up early for work tomorrow. Hope you don't mind. Oh, no, Josh. Go have a good night, mate. Go have a good night's sleep. I mean, it's almost 1 a.m. here, so I'm not going to be going on for too much longer personally myself. But, go get some rest, dude. I appreciate you for coming on board and joining me tonight. And if you guys enjoy these kind of streams, maybe I'll try and do these a couple of times a week where we just go online and just talk about news. If you enjoy this type of stuff, then just do let me know. They've had to rely on third parties to stay alive. Now third parties won't be able to ignore skipping Xbox at this point. The reliance on third party is over. Well, one thing that I read today was from... Basically, they had 3 tiers of criteria for Final Fantasy 16 on what they wanted to hit. They had the lowest expectations, they had the mid-tier expectations, and the highest tier expectations. And what they did was that, Sony, with the release of Final Fantasy 16, they hit the lowest tier expectations. So to say that they didn't hit what they wanted is technically true and not true, because they did hit the lowest tier of expectations. What they were expecting was the high tier of expectations. And something that the president said was that, you know, relying on Sony to provide that level of sales simply didn't pay through. And this is why they're now looking at Xbox as a viable platform to help push those sales numbers. And honestly, if you're a third party company, regardless of the company you are, whether it's Square Enix, Capcom, Konami, okay, Konami is in a whole new world of its own, but you get what I'm saying. If you're one of these companies, kind of isolating your game to one platform is always going to hurt sales. I get first party sales will always be reduced. And I mean, let's not forget, right? Jim Ryan has come out publicly saying that the sales they get for first party PlayStation games is not enough. The cost of making The Last of Us 2 was huge. And they barely recouped that money because they didn't make enough sales. It's why they pushed it onto PC to try and re-engage that money. And with the series coming out as well, it was a time where they could actually push it and try to make more money. Of course, the port was so bad, it was laughable. But the point is, their first-party games weren't selling great either. And they keep toting God of War Ragnarok, but we all know that a lot of those sales for Ragnarok came from bundled consoles. They were sold to people against their will. They didn't have a choice but to buy the game because they wanted to buy a PS5. They didn't sell the consoles when stock was low on its own. They always bundled it with a game. They always bundled it with Horizon or God of War, but it was always with a game. And those obviously help with that, how many units that we sold. Sega made a lot of bad choices. I agree, Chili. Sega made a lot of bad choices. I think what Sony did was basically put the final nail in the coffin. But the Saturn, when it came out, I love my Saturn, by the way. Fantastic console. But having two processors in there meant it was an absolute nightmare. Do you know who else put two processors in their console? Do you know? PlayStation 3. And how did that turn out? Not very good, did it? It didn't really turn out very well. So clearly they didn't learn from the Sega Saturn and the mistakes that were made in the past. And they thought they could do better and realized that they couldn't do better. So now everyone's gone back to like a single processor setup because it just doesn't work. It creates an absolute nightmare for developers. And games just are pain to make. But, Sega made a lot of bad choices. The 32X is another one. They kept on trying to push these things with the hardware, and it just didn't work, and it just wasn't very successful. But their games were always good. I always loved their games. Son of Fanboys want exclusives, and only 6% of players bought Final Fantasy 16. I mean, I expected more to buy it considering how much it was hyped. I'll agree with Final Fantasy 16. The performance is awful, and I really hope they patch it to get better. I'm still trying to play through it, honestly, but I can't play in long stints because it gives me motion sickness. I don't suffer that much motion sickness ever, but that game actually gave me motion sickness, which is bad. Hey, Hitten FG's Blunted. I think I pronounced that correctly. Have a good one, my dude. Thank you for stopping by. Sony is a company that tried to make movies, consoles exclusive back in the 1980s with Betamax. Oh, I remember those days. Proprietary media always failed. I mean, yeah, the PS Vita had proprietary. Xbox Series X has proprietary hard drives, which are awful. I won't invest in one. Not until they drop to like £50. If they drop to like 50, 60 quid, I will buy one for a terabyte. But until then, Not a chance. It's not worth 150 quid. Not in a million years. Microsoft need to sort out that as well because I think it's a bad move from them. I get why they did it. I just think it just really wasn't needed. And the price of them really shouldn't be that high. Remember when people said Phil Spencer would be out this year? Phil Spencer is going nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. Hey, secondary protocol. Thanks, dude. Yeah, it's 12:50 here at the moment. So probably go for about another 20 minutes. But yeah, Starfield launches and is amazing. We gave Starfield 7 out of 10. Starfield beaten in 3 hours. People want Starfield on PS5. I think the best review I've seen of Starfield was the one where the German site said that they played it for 30 minutes and they got a full grasp of the game. GG, 10 out of 10, buddy. You know what? This is what my missus always tells me. Finish the video games you have before buying new ones, and then she says, okay, you can go buy a new one. I mean, that looks incredible, right? That looks insane. That looks so good. This is the game that they're saying looks like a PS2 game. This is what they're saying looks like a PS2 game. I mean, I really want to know what PS2 they had back in those days because my PS2 didn't look like this. I mean, Jim's departure is a shocking one, man. That is a shocking one. Who do you love to see leave a company more? Don Matrick after Xbox One release, or Jim Ryan during the middle of PS5 generation? All right, guys. Which one do you go? I mean, I think Don Matrick wins this one hands down, right? Don Matrick and Phil Harrison will go down in the history. Will go down in history as the two guys you never want to employ. I mean, don't forget, right? Wasn't it? I think it was Phil Harrison that went to Nokia and then they disappeared. Then Phil Harrison went to Stadia and they disappeared. My dude has the best resume for a CV. you know, I mean, you look at you're gonna be a prospective employer, right? And you're gonna look at Phil Harrison's CV, and you're gonna be like, right, you sunk Nokia, you sunk Stadia, you made some really bad decisions at Microsoft. What makes you think that you're actually gonna get a job here? I've got this black book here. If you want to just have a look at it. My God, where did you get this? You've got the job. I think that's literally what's happening. There's no way that guy is getting jobs when he's sunk like 2-3 companies on his own. Jim is nameable but somewhat competent, but Don, no hire. I mean, hey, look. We will never forget, right? For those of you that don't have an internet connection, there's always the Xbox 360. I mean, every platform has their dark moments, and I'm gonna have to go with Don Matrick here. No one wants Don Matrick. No one. I mean, 74%. Jesus. I mean, it is interesting to say the least. Before I talk crap, I'll say that Jim was leading PlayStation towards a path that I personally was not too fond of. His business acumen is extremely strong, and he was ready to milk PS fans to the limit. I believe that. I think he was milking PS fans. I mean, I've got my PSVR 2 sitting over there gathering dust. Outside of maybe one game, I mean, I bought it because I was really excited for Horizon Call of the Mountain. But they should have just called it Climb the Mountain because that's literally all you do. I was really disappointed. There's another game with David Hayter in it, the voice actor, which I think it's called Synapse, that I'm looking to buy. But everything else on there, even Firewall, has been rated as really bad. There's just nothing on there. And there's nothing first party announced on there. It's like they've already abandoned the PSVR. Like, where's the games? I feel really bad. Oh, Nicola. He was nowhere near as likable as his predecessor, but just like them, he's retiring victorious. Victorious? He bought Bungie for 3.6 million, which is doing extremely badly. He lost ABK. Where is the victory? He's moaned that his first party games do not make money. He tried to move on to PC, and that failed historically. But he did make a good console. I'll give him that. He made a good console. The PS5 is a solid console. And, the magical SSD is it's at least doing what it's supposed to do. PS5 is booming and the business is doing better than ever. Well, Mark certainly made it. But he's employing him, right? He was the one that brought him on. He's the one that kept paying him. Oh, PS5 is ugly. It's ugly. Hey, Dragon's Dogma on the Switch is $1.38. I think that's a pretty good deal. Oh my god. Have you all seen the controversy with Kick? I'm done with that platform. It's awful. Oh no, it's Alex has been blocked by Reforged. Reforged Gaming blocked. Oh no, it's Alex. He blocked him before he could actually see. I'll never subscribe to Microsoft buying the business. They are effing terrible. Well, Jordan, if Sony wouldn't play dirty, they wouldn't have played dirty, right? They were forced into this. You need to understand that. At the end of the day, Sony would go, block games coming to Xbox, make games exclusive, make Microsoft pay higher fees, prevent games from going on Game Pass. What did you think was going to happen in the end? If you go and poke a bear with a stick with enough times, that bear's going to turn around and bitch slap you from here to where you came from, right? Or it's going to bite your head off. You don't poke the bear and expect nothing to happen. But Sony rode their luck. Jim Ryan just kept on poking and poking and poking. And with Starfield, it was the breaking point. And they went and bought Bethesda. Now, as for ABK, again, you're not understanding this. Microsoft did not approach Activision and say, I want to buy you. They did not do that. Not once, not twice, never. They never approached them. Activision Blizzard decided that they wanted to sell. And either Tencent was going to buy them, or Microsoft, or maybe Amazon, or maybe even Google, right? Even Apple. Sony was never in the running. But they wanted to sell, so they went and offered it to Microsoft. And they said, this is our terms. Do you accept? So if Microsoft wasn't going to buy them, someone else was going to buy them. Right? And at the end of the day, I think if Tencent had actually bought them, that would have been even worse for gaming. That's my personal opinion. Right? That's my personal opinion. It would have been way worse for gaming. Now, if Amazon had bought them, they could have easily made those games exclusive to their Amazon Luna and excluded everyone. So right now, at least you get to play those games on the cloud via any service you want. That may have not have been even an option for you either. I mean, I think people are... I mean, you're a pony yourself, Jordan. You're sitting there on your high horse, but you're clearly a pony yourself. I mean, let's not beat around the bush here. Everything you've said up until now has indicated that. But the reality is, Activision approached Microsoft. Microsoft then said, "Hey, this actually looks like a good deal. We'll give you 70 billion, and as was revealed in the FTC case, we'll get over 100 billion back as soon as the acquisition goes over. We will be in net profit with 30, 40 billion. It's a good deal. That's a really, really good deal. So technically, after their net profit, after they've made back 40 billion just by signing those documents, that 70 billion that they've spent goes down to 30 billion. That's a lot more manageable to recover. See, Google, loads of companies would have wanted them, but Activision approached Microsoft. You know, and that's the way it is. At the end of the day, I do not feel that Tencent buying them would have been a better option. And if Google had bought them, let's be realistic, they're shutting down a certain part of their company every week. They just recently shut down their podcasts. They've announced end of life service for Google Podcasts. It's gone. It's going to the Google graveyard. Would you trust anything with Google? Could you? I know I couldn't. That's the other thing, gaming, Nate. You know, people say you want to build studios from ground up. That's fine. You might have something working in the background where you're building that, and that's good. That's fine. But you know, Insomniac made Xbox games. I think the last one they made was Sunset Overdrive, and then they made Spider Man. And during that time that they made it for PlayStation, they weren't a PlayStation studio. It was only after that that they purchased Insomniac Studios, right? So why is it okay for them to purchase Insomniac? Oh, it's okay for Sony to buy them, but not okay for Microsoft to buy them? It works both ways, right? But I think Starfield is a really, really big deal because I think with the release of Starfield, I think they really were affected by this. I think it really hurt them. They were never only mainly a PS based studio because they made Xbox games. They did make Xbox games. In fact, Microsoft had the option to buy them and they chose not to. I don't know. Not offhand. That was the last one I remember they made. But at the end of the day, they were not a Sony studio. Whether they made a number of games for them or not, they made games for other platforms. But the fact that they went and bought them to make their services exclusive is the same thing. The principle is the same. Blue Dragon Remake. Mate, you're going to be smashing those vases and clicking on every single corner around the map again. I'm not quite sure. Much respect to Jim. I can tell you that he cared about the studios and he cared about the players. He cared about the studios. I'll give him that. Won't be surprised if they make Jeff Keighley or someone at IGN the next CEO of PlayStation. I actually had a rant with this one in my video. Man, what an L for Sony loser fanboys who never said anything was wrong. That's a cool shit. That's a cool shit. Blind Justice. People say this looks rubbish. I don't get it. What is rubbish about this game's graphical fidelity? Batman is awesome. Gotta love Batman Arkham. Man, this guy won't stop posting. Now, Embrace the Group, they're a different thing altogether. Punishing Grey Raven. Anthem. You are sorely missed. I loved Anthem. Don't care what the trolls say or what the memes say. I was a massive Anthem fan. I love that game to bits. Imagine saying Starfield is Bethesda's Anthem, and also imagine comparing the launch of Starfield to Cyberpunk 2077's launch date. You guys wanted Starfield to be bad, and now you're just looking for excuses to attack the game. I mean, they've been looking for excuses all this time. Ooh, Final Fantasy 16 versus Final Fantasy Tactics. I hate it so much. Which do you prefer? I kind of like Tactics, and I know some of you are going to hate me for this, but RTS really isn't my strong suit, so I'm going to go Final Fantasy 16. Because I do like Final Fantasy 16. Dungeon cleared for Brood Protocol. Well, at least we know what sort of game that's going to be. Phil ain't going nowhere. Phil is fine. PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan will retire as of March 2024 after more than 30 years at Sony. I mean, he looks drained in that picture. Absolutely drained. But it's just, I wish him, like I said it from the beginning, I wish him all the best. I wish Jim actually a good retirement. He's going back to his family in the UK, from where I'm from. And I wish clearly he doesn't have any need for money anymore because he's loaded right now. But hopefully that will see him through because, he's worked dedicated 30 years of his life to Sony, and hopefully they gave him the bonus or the payoff that, he deserves. Even though, he couldn't stop ABK, the reality is that really wasn't something he could control. I just don't think that was something he could control. But I do think that was the final nail in the coffin that got him pushed out. Oh, Team November. I think they pushed him out. I don't think he resigned. I think they turned around and told him, I think what they did, they basically said, you need to achieve these goals. You need to buy these things or something within an X period, or we're going to have to let you go. We're going to have to, part ways. And he just thought to himself, you know what? I've been here for 30 years. I don't really get to see my family much because they're in the UK. I'm in the US. This isn't the threat that you think it is. And he basically made the decision to retire. And I think, in a really weird way, I think it was the right choice for him. I think he achieved quite a bit in the 30 years, be it from PlayStation 1 all the way to PlayStation 5. He's raised 5 generations, 2 handheld consoles, 2 VR outlets. So I think he did pretty well for a legacy. I mean, to be fair, that data breach could have happened anywhere, right? But that data breach, we still don't know what was taken, and until we do, it's a pretty moot point until we know what they've actually acquired from that. From the initial reports, it doesn't look like they acquired anything. But if you have got a PlayStation, I do recommend you change your password just to be safe, right? Because if passwords were taken, don't thing. Sony have not mentioned anything about the hacks yet, Taz. Nothing yet. The Salt Kings. Oh no, it's Alex and Frit will bring a shipload of salt from the mountain. Yeah, definitely. I mean, after Sony's PS3's hack attack in, I think it was 2011, when Sony lost access to PSN, like any live network, for 23 days, I think it was. I actually removed all my credit card details, my bank details off PlayStation. I lost confidence, and I've just got PayPal on there, and my PayPal requires a two-factor authentication from my phone on or other sources. I've got like it linked to certain things, and that's in that I just go through that. I'll always have to put a password in. I'll always have to authenticate, and I do that for Xbox as well. No, I agree, Ryan. I agree. I agree. 100%. You know, when it comes to that sort of thing with the hacks, no company, no one should have to go through that because it's your personal details that are there, and having your personal details all over the place is not good. Just when many of us thought the seemingly endless stream of ABK merger news would come to an end, some class action lawyers wanted to read my correspondence with Microsoft, which is pretty boring anyway, and the FTC decided to refile its in house lawsuit, which it can't do anything anyway because it can't even declare a preliminary injunction. Oh, that's cold. Jim Ryan saw that the fire that fire what's that? Jim Ryan saw that Fire Bethesda roadmap and was like, peace. Oh god. How has this clown got a platform I still don't know? He's got some of the worst takes. And I actually prove in my next video how Starfield was review bombed on Steam. There are people that spent less than an hour on the game and reviewed it bad. There's someone who played it for 60 hours and turned around and said that had a lot of fun with this game, but Microsoft, so down review. I'm not joking. That was on Steam. That's crazy. I'm looking forward to this. Foam Stars, I know it's on the PS5, but I'm looking forward to that. Horizon Forbidden West for you PC gamers out there is coming early 2024. Okay. Here's what to expect in the newest Xbox update next week, or this week. Easier game capture, back up to OneDrive. It's finally coming. Long time. Faster methods to find in-game events. Okay, that's cool. Add apps to a new box with ease. And more. But Linux actually allowed you to hack the PS3. That's why they removed it. It allowed you a gateway into hacking the PS3. That was the prime reason why they removed it. It does, but it's extremely locked down. It doesn't give you. Most Linuxes actually allow you to access the kernel. It's one of the things that they actually do. I think the way that the PS4 and the PS5's Linux is, it's very, very, very closed. They made sure that that was going to happen. But I think we've pretty much come to cover everything. Not just that. I mean, when the PS5 first launched, you could what was it? You could actually log into the browser and you could log into the browser and access Game Pass and GeForce Now. You actually had that capability. And then when Sony realized this, they went in immediately and patched it. For obvious reasons. But that was the case. I do have a question for you. One final one before we actually end the stream. Because it is past 1 a.m. and I do have work in the morning. So for this has been going around and it's something that I talk about in my... I think I spoke about in my last video. Not the FTC one, but the one before that. But what makes an RPG? Is Spider-Man an RPG? That's my question. How can it be an RPG? Now, don't get me wrong. The definition that someone gave me, right? And they got very upset, like very, very, very upset when I turned round and used their logic against them. But the definition that someone gave me was you play the role of Spider Man, so you're playing a role playing game. But ARPGs are different, right? Oh, that's not me. That's Alex is no. Oh no, it's Alex. He's been blocked. But if that's the case, if that definition is true, that if you are playing the role of Spider Man, that makes it an RPG because it is a role playing game because you play the role of Spider Man in a game. Does this make Pac Man an RPG? Because I'm playing the role of Pac Man in his ever evolving world of eating the yellow dots, trying to stay away from the ghosts. Does Pac Man classify as an RPG? Or Microsoft Flight Simulator? I'm playing the role of a pilot on a plane with snakes. Does that make it a role playing game? No, Spider Man is not an RPG. Marvel Avenger is an action RPG. Thank you for that £2. Raiden Blade? I don't know. To me, Spider Man, for me personally, is not an RPG. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's okay to have an action adventure, which is what I would class it as. It's an action adventure platform game. I mean, even calling it a platform is not right. I think it's an action adventure game, like I would class the Uncharted series, right? Now, Rift Apart, I would say, is a platform game. I would define that as a platform. But games like Uncharted, Spider Man, I would just say action adventure. Just by having a skill tree doesn't turn it into an RPG, in my opinion. But like I said, if that's an RPG because it's a role playing game, does because you're playing the role of Spider Man, can we agree that Pac Man is a role playing game as well? Can we agree on that? Is that something we can agree on? JJ Rambo, I agree. Every game has elements of an RPG, which technically makes every single game an RPG. That is not how it works. Uh, I mean, if we're going by the definition of the idiot that told me that the definition of a role playing game is do you play the role of an NPC in that game? Uh, I think even Forza Motorsport is technically a role playing game, right? I mean, Playground actually said Forza Horizon is an RPG. I don't think it's an RPG. I think it's a racer. It has RPG elements, but it's not an RPG. So no response from Phil Spencer about Jim Ryan resigning yet. Drift Bandit, no, not at all. Forza, my favorite Western RPG. Hey, you're gonna have Forza. You're gonna have Forza Motorsport with Geralt in there driving, and as long as Geralt is in there, that makes it a Western RPG. There, done. That is the one. RPG. But Reforge was arguing that Spider-Man and you know other games from PlayStation's brand that clearly are not RPGs were RPGs. Carlos Jose Hernandez. I'm going to assume that's Josue Hernandez Jaramillo. Yep, he quit. He's gone. He's gone. Gone. Out of here. Finito. Bye. ABK broke him, and I think that was the end of it. Wait, they're actually out here on defense? Can't say I didn't expect it. It's been a year since. Nope, I'm not going there. I don't own shares in Sony, so I don't really have any attachments to this news. Just all the best to him and his replacement. Yep, I agree. Oh, here we go. Thank you, Xbox community, for donating over 50k to date to Maui fire relief. Oh, he just doesn't care about what's going on in Sony. Let's see if Phil has actually said anything. Oh, this is big news. This is big news. Guys. Big news. I don't think there's any audio, but it's fine. Check this out. Let's just rewind it. So, as of December, for anyone that's got an Oculus Quest, I think this might work with Quest 1, 2, and 3, or it's definitely going to work with 2 and 3, right? Xbox Game Pass, Xbox Cloud Gaming is coming to Oculus Quest. So you can have like 100-inch screen on your face with your desired headphones, with your controller, and you can be playing. This is insane. This is awesome. I've been actually wanting this for such a long time. This is so cool. A 10 for trying to spell my name. Did I get it right at least? Carlos Josio Hernandez Jaramillo. That's going to blow VR into... Yeah, I mean, this is huge. To me, this is huge. Right? Because as long as the latency is good as well, because it is going to be over Wi-Fi and not a wired connection. Because on a wired connection, I have almost virtually no latency. I can't tell the difference between my wireless controller on my Series X or my PS5 and actually playing on the cloud. I mean, I am on a fiber connection. I am getting a gigabyte download, and I think it's like 110, 120 upload. So maybe that plays into it a lot more. But I'm not seeing it. But over Wi-Fi, obviously, there's going to be a little bit of degradation. But if this actually has the low latency that I think it will do, I think this is going to be such a big thing. This, to me, from Meta, was probably their biggest announcement. Their mixed reality thing was cool as well, by the way. Oh, Kojima. Phil Spencer and Xbox Game Studios visiting Kojima Productions. They joined Hideo Kojima and the KGP staff for a trip to Kanda Shrine. Now, we've all known that there's a secret project in the works by Kojima. It's a small cloud-based project that they wanted to do with Stadia, but Stadia thought that they were, too big and too proud to take on a project by Kojima. So he approached Phil, and Phil said, "Yeah, sure, we'll take it." Who in their right mind is going to say no to Kojima? Well, Stadia will. So that's going to be interesting when that actually gets revealed. So, here we go. 3 minutes ago. Finally. Perfect way to end the stream. Jim Ryan has been a great contributor to our industry and a fierce leader for PlayStation. I wish him the best in what he does next. Thank you for all you've done for the community over the last 30 years, Jim. Phil acquiring Jim Ryan confirmed. Oh, shit. Respect. You right now. Oh, come on, man. These guys. Honor amongst the rivals. Love to see it. Just not on these Twitter streets. Plot twist. Jim Ryan joins Xbox. That's right, Phil. Run your victory lap. Gaming people supporting gaming people. Love to see it. Hope more collaboration between Xbox and PS going forward. Imagine a PS and NES game passes on Xbox. No way he bottled it and left. Nah, he was pushed, man. He was definitely pushed. He seemed eternally grumpy, and hopefully he gets to do something that makes him happy now. Uh, Wish he didn't waste hundreds of millions of dollars political capital trying to get the ABK deal blocked. He wasted a lot of money trying to get that blocked. He even went as far as offering Sony lawyers to the gamers lawsuit as well, which pretty much was confirmed as well, that the Sony lawyers were looking at those files and, so the case and advising them, even though they didn't actually appear in court. That's still time and money. Too much generous. Wow, Phil, that sarcasm is straight British. Well, you know what? We have that knack. Breaking news: Phil acquires this W. Will he join ABK? That's a good, could you imagine Jim Ryan joining Activision Blizzard as the new CEO? Oh, there's going to be some salt tomorrow. Congratulations, you finally won something, Phil. Best of luck to Jim Ryan. Ah, there we go. There we go. We got the ponies trying to filter in, and no one really cares. It's no loss, Phil. The industry still has you. You sexy beast. Phil Spencer about to draft up a farewell tweet. His biggest oops in 3, 2. What the fuck, man? What the fuck? Oh, man. Good guy, Phil. This is why we love you. Thank you for everything you do for Xbox community and just gaming in general. Jim Ryan gave up. It's sad though, because I think had the ABK deal not happened, and had Sony, in my opinion personally, not given him an ultimatum on what they demanded, I think Jim would have stayed on to at least PlayStation 6. But I think whatever discussion they had was too much for him. And it just wasn't as appealing as going home. This was quite funny. Bro, you got the opposite of Midas Touch. You signed the death note of Jim Ryan when you signed on a PS5 plate. It was an omen. I don't want a Call of Duty deal. I want to block your merger. Well, he didn't want a Call of Duty deal. He didn't just want to block the merger. He wanted to save his job. And they said Phil was the one to leave. How about you are leaving anytime soon? Maybe it's time for someone else, Phil. Man, still so much salt. The guy said something nice and they're still being nasty to him. Yeah, I think so too. He pushed that real hard. Real hard. To try and stop it. And I think he was working with the FTC to get it done as well. I think there was a bit of cash involved in that as well. But it is what it is. But what the fuck? What the hell, man? What the hell? Cloud gaming services for Game Pass Ultimate has been down for 2 hours. Lead by example and show you care about paying customers. Has it been down for... Has cloud gaming gone down? Is cloud gaming really down? Lena Khan has to go. She's a waste of time. Jim Ryan has been a great contributor to our industry and a fierce leader for PlayStation. I wish him the best in what he does next. I wonder why cloud gaming is down. Too many people hitting it for Starfield? Ah. Anyone playing this here? I'm playing Ever Crisis myself. Definitely going to be pulling for young Sephi. People who know every gaming CEO and their accomplishments, court documents saved, and know the difference between first and third party. Jez goes on vacation. Microsoft has biggest Xbox leak in history. Surface and Windows division loses its leader. UK CMA provisionally approves ABK deal. Xbox's biggest rival sees its leader retire. Unity implodes. Am I missing anything? Here we go, Reforge Gaming. He finally said something. Jim Ryan is retiring. Genuinely curious who they appoint as his successor. Did you guys hear about the lies of P? Young Sephi will be free from story? Nice. Don't know who he's going to replace though. Maybe Tifa. Aerith is too valuable with the heals. Did anyone read about the story for this? So people were crying. Literally crying. Some even were petitioning for the company who made the game to be shut down because as a Souls game, it was too hard. It is a Souls game. If anyone of you actually joined my Twitch stream when I was actually playing it, you would have seen my sheer frustration where I was about to throw my PC out the window. It got pretty dark. Real quick, real fast. But, they actually caved in. They caved in and made the game easier. They caved into peer pressure. It's sad when you see that happen. There were people who already finished the game without any problems, but because a vocal bunch aired their voices at it being, too hard, they decided to make it easier. Lowest tier, we sold 5. You sold 5 copies of... I mean, if the game is on Game Pass, it's not going to sell very well. That's the way I see it, right? If it's on Game Pass, I've got no reason to buy it. If it's got a chance of coming off, when it does come off, I mean, I'm personally a digital person now. It'll get a massive discount, like a 20-30% discount on Xbox Store. I'll just buy it then. But there's no reason for me to buy it now because it's on Game Pass. And if I finish it and I'm done with it, a one and done game, I move on. I'm paying my subscription. Can't verify Jason blocked me. But yeah, that's going to be it for today's chat. That is going to be it. I hope you've enjoyed the stream. Thank you so much for the super chats. If you guys enjoyed this kind of one-to-one stream as we go over news, let me know and we'll make it happen more often. I've actually had a lot of fun doing this and I've enjoyed it. So, for sure. I would definitely like to do something like this again. But that is me. Thank you so much. And I will see you in the next video, which will be out in probably about 10 hours from now. I'll probably release it at the same time I planned. I might edit this tonight and just release it as a shorter video because I think we've been live for a little longer than I anticipated. It's almost 2 hours. But yeah, it's fine. It's good. I had fun. And I hope you did too. Right. Have a good one, everyone. Have a good night. And I'll see you next time. Remain legend. one more thing before I go. I know some of you might still be here, some not. Be kind to the PlayStation fans out there today and tomorrow. They are hurting. They are really hurting. Their forefather has just deserted them. So, you know, spare a second thought as they go into meltdown. Be there when they need you most. Right, see you later. Peace.